All right, so we're going to solve this quadratic equation using the method of completing the square. We've completed the square so far. Now it hasn't looked like this, but we've practiced. So when we get to a stage like this, we are ready to complete the square. All right, so step one is we want to get the constant to the other side. We want our variables on the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 6 to both sides. And I'm now left with x squared minus 4x equals 0. Okay, so now if you look, if I cover this up, this is what we've been working with. We've completed the square. All right, I want to turn this left side into a perfect square trinomial. All right, reason being, if I have something that's a perfect square, I can take the square root of it. All right, that's the reason behind this. All right, step 2 now is I want to find my c value that will turn this into a perfect square. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, this should be a 6 right here. Okay, that maybe threw you off a little bit. That should be a 6. So to find my c value, my constant, I'm going to take my b divided by 2 and square it. That gives me negative 2 squared, which is 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 4 here. I'm going to add 4 to this side. But knowing how to solve equations, you have to add 4 to the other side. So my equation now becomes x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals this 6 plus 4 equals 10. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor this side. And I know this can be factored because we turned it into a perfect square trinomial. This is what we were practicing earlier. This will become x minus 2 squared equals 10. Now I didn't do anything. I didn't change it, divide, multiply anything to this left side. So this 10 remains the 10. Now what I'm going to do is take the square root of the left side, take the square of the right side. The square root and the exponent of 2, they cancel each other out. So I'm left with x minus 2 equals the square root of 10. Not a perfect value, so I'm going to leave it as the square root of 10. But if you think back to a couple lessons ago, it has to be the positive and negative version of the square root of 10. Because it's two different numbers, this is now when I can break this in to two different equations. X minus 2 can equal the positive square root of 10, and x minus 2 can equal the negative square root of 10. I'm going to add 2 to both sides over here. So I get x equals 2. This is a positive root 10. I add 2 to both sides here. X equals 2 minus root 10. And what I could do is, since this is both a 2 here and a 2 here, eventually this can just become x equals 2 plus or minus root 10. This is the exact value. To find the estimated value, you could type in the square root of 10, figure out what that is in the calculator, and do 2 plus and 2 minus that value.